Welcome to Parenting Successful Teens, the podcast that cuts through the overwhelm and stress of this phase and offers parents simple, practical, cognitive, science-based strategies for keeping their teens on track. Join master coach and real-life mom, Allie Irwin, to talk about real teens, real problems, and the skills it takes to raise successful adults.
No matter how I used to arrange my day, it used to feel like I was failing my family in some vague and yet very important way. And I laugh because when I think about my calendar, like from back in the day, I had stuff written on my calendar like laundry. I tried every time management technique under the sun in order to fit it all in. And by fit it all in, I meant that I was kind of trying to do like everything that the expert said was important when it came to raising your family. It was the single most important job that I had. And it was so important to me to get it right that I just kept trying to find different ways to do all the things. What would happen is even if I managed to do all the things to feed my kids a healthy breakfast and get them to school on time and not yell in the morning, which was in and of itself a big if, then I would get to work and an article would come across my feed. Something like, science says the most successful kids have parents that do these 5 things. And my brain would say, oh, well, if science says that it's true, it must be true. I should see what those 5 things are and make sure that I do them. So I'd click on the article and there'd be a whole list of things that I now needed to add to my to-do list. In my already too full to-do list to do in order to give my kids the best chance at success. Like that was my whole goal, was to, be a really good mom. And if science said I needed to do these 5 things, I would try to do them. But here's the thing. Number 3 on that actual, I'm laughing because this is an actual article that Business Insider or Inc. magazine or some business magazine that really shouldn't be handing out parenting advice in the first place. Number 3 on their list is kids should get 9 hours of sleep. And if you are listening to this podcast and you have teenagers and you have ideas on how to get your kids to get 9 hours of sleep regularly, please send them to me, because that would have meant for my kids, they would have had to go to bed. They would have had to be asleep by 9:45. And I don't even know what time that means that I would have had to start getting them to get ready for bed. But all I know is that was definitely not happening in my house. And it was a challenge when I tried to hold the line at 10:30 that everyone had to be in bed by 10:30, because especially as my kids got older and they had part-time jobs and study groups and all of those things, even 10:30 felt like a stretch. So all that really happened when I read those articles is I added more to my to-do list, more pressure on myself to, more ways that I could feel like I wasn't living up, more pressure on my kids who were definitely not interested in going to bed at 9:30 just because I had read an Inc. magazine article on my lunch break at work. So even if I was able to implement any of the things from the first article I read, what would happen to me is the next day I would get a different article with 5 more things that I should do. And half of that advice would contradict the advice from the article before. That is the classic, we've talked about this so many times on this podcast, that classic more structure, more freedom argument. You read one article and it says if you have trouble, it's because you aren't giving your kids enough structure, and kids need structure and they thrive under structure. And then you read another article that's describing the exact same problem, and it says the reason that you're having that problem is because you're not giving your kids enough freedom. And, if you want to encourage independence and them not to live in your basement forever, you need to start giving them freedom now to make their own choices. When I think about that time and I think about that poor version, like the 5 years ago version of myself, I just feel so much sympathy for her because she hadn't yet discovered that there really is no one right way to raise your kids, to raise successful kids. There's no magic formula that you're going to discover that is going to tell you exactly what to do, exactly what's important. And even if you were to figure it out for one child, then the next day, they would be a different child. Like they're changing so much during the teen years. And so like what worked on Tuesday wouldn't work on Wednesday. Or you figure it out for the first child and it doesn't work for the second child. Or you figure all of those things out and then something changes in your work situation. And now like everything has to shift again. So rather than like if I could give some advice to myself of that time, what I would tell her is that the most important decision that you can make doesn't have to do with whether or not you feed them a healthy breakfast, or you all eat dinner together as a family, or if they take music lessons, or if you put love notes in their lunch boxes, or all of those other things that those articles are encouraging us to do. The most important decision that you could make on a daily basis is the decision to decide that you are doing a good job. Now, all kinds of you right now are arguing with me in your head. And the reason I know is the me of that time would not think that this was helpful information at all. I would hold up all of these reasons why I thought I wasn't a good enough mom. I wasn't the mom that I thought that my kids deserved, and all the ways I needed to be doing better. Oh, poor Allie. Like that list was so long. But what I've learned since and what I'm teaching my clients right now is the idea that if you constantly think that you are screwing your kids up, if you are constantly worried that you are not doing a good enough job, what you're actually teaching your kids to do is to worry that they are not doing a good enough job. And we do this in like 100 ways, large and small. We do this through role modeling. We do this by putting pressure on them to achieve certain things so that we can know that we did a good job. We do this in the ways that we talk about them, the things that they hear us say, they interpret in different ways. And so our worry about ourselves as a mom translates to their worry about themselves as the capable adults that they're growing into. Okay? So if you are constantly worried that you're screwing them up, you're going to teach them to constantly worry about screwing up. Okay? If you're beating yourself up because you don't think you're doing enough, you're teaching them to beat themselves up because they're not doing enough. Okay? There's no two ways around it. And I know I sound so heated this week. Oh, but it's so painful. It's so painful for me to have you all come to my sessions and just tell me like all the ways that you're not doing a good job, because you are doing a good job. How do I know? Because people who don't care about doing a good job do not listen to parenting podcasts. Okay. The fact that you've made it this far, like I already know that you're doing a good job. And what I'm hoping to do today is to convince you to start seeing how it could benefit your family to believe that you're doing a good job, to work on choosing time and time, moment by moment, to believe that it matters that you think highly of yourself as a mom. Okay? I grew up in the Midwest. I'm back in the Midwest now. I know like Midwest humbleness, humility, the social taboo of bragging, of not bragging is strong here. And so I want to differentiate the idea that thinking of yourself highly, viewing yourself as capable and strong and caring and loving and all the good things is different than bragging. Okay, most often bragging comes from insecurity. And what I'm talking about, what I'm encouraging you to do this week is to develop security in yourself as a mom. Okay, and when you have that, all the good things flow from that. Your kids will develop their own security when they see you being secure in yourself. They will learn to love themselves even when they make mistakes. When they watch you love yourself, even when you make mistakes. When they watch you not freak out because you forgot to send in a form, even though they reminded you, they will learn to handle it when they forget to send something in, even though you reminded them. That doesn't lead to slackerish behavior. It leads to actually a focus on seeing opportunities and good things and thinking the best, assuming the best of people around them, as opposed to a hyper focus on mistakes. One of my favorite ministers, Dr. Tanya Bennett, talked in one of her sermons about seeing the whole, WHOLE versus the whole, HOLE. And I just love that analogy, seeing the whole of who you are as a mom, as opposed to that one tiny thing that you could have done better today. And I say that, but it actually applies to the bigger things that you think that you could have done better too. Some of the moms that I see in my practice, they have struggles and they have real regrets about things that happened when their kids were younger or situations that they're going through now. Divorces, financial struggles. But here's the thing. The way that they're handling the adversity that they're currently experiencing is teaching their kids how to handle adversity. So even if you're cleaning up something that you did in the past that you wish you hadn't done, you're overcoming maybe a mistake that you made, something that didn't work out the way you wanted it to, you're teaching your kids how to do that. Because for sure they're going to make mistakes or they're going to make decisions and they're not going to turn out the way that they thought they were. I mean, we all did dumb stuff in college. And if your mom has only ever modeled how to be perfect and you do something dumb, you're going to have a harder time recovering from it. But if you can see yourself as a good mom while you're making mistakes and while you're doing the very best that you can, then you're teaching your kids how to feel good about themselves while they're making mistakes and doing the very best that they can. It's all good stuff. Okay? That focus is the single most important thing you can do this week. Okay? That focus of seeing yourself as a good mom, of thinking highly of the job that you're doing, feeling secure in the way that you're parenting them. That single decision is literally the best thing that you can do. It's the foundation. It's the building block that so many other decisions, so many other good decisions flow from. And it means that you'll have so much more fun. You'll make so many more memories. You'll have so much more tenderness, so many fewer arguments than I did when I was trying to enforce those insane early bedtimes. All right, everyone, I hope this is helpful. Try it. Let me know how it goes. Send me any questions you have, Allie@allieirwin.com. Have a great week.